Okay, today we're going to do Unit 3, Notes number 4. So we talked about functions and function notation last week. Now we're going to start talking about graphing those. So we're going to talk about our input and output tables. So if you guys remember, X is always called our input. And then f of x, we can call our y or the output. So f of x is another name for y, or it's our output. And I feel like we got really good at that. So to graph our functions, we're going to create a table of inputs, which is going to be our x value, that we plug into the function in order to find our output. Hold on just a second, you guys. Okay, let's continue. Sorry about that, you guys. I ran out of space. So we plug our inputs, our x values, into the function in order to find our output, which is our y value. So we matched up the input and output, and those become the ordered pair we graph on our graph. So those are the points we're going to be able to plot. So hopefully we remember graphing pretty well, because we will need that in order to do that. So let's go on to our first function. It says, given the following functions, fill in the input-output tables and graph. Our x values are always going to be the same. They're always going to be -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. We're never going to change those. So then we have our function 3x minus 2. The x is what we're going to replace in each time. So this kind of goes back to our function notation. So we're going to have 3 times -2 minus 2. So we're going to change that parentheses each time. You have to show your work. If you do not show your work, you will miss a point. And I feel like showing your work is easy. So then we have to evaluate these. So 3 times -2 is -6. -6 and -2 is -8. We get -3 and -2, which is -5. 0 minus 2 is -2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. So those are going to be my points I plug in for my f of x or my y value. And then each one of these is an ordered pair. So -2, 8 is an ordered pair. -1, -5 is an ordered pair. 0, -2 is an ordered pair. 1, 1 is an ordered pair. And 2, 4 is an ordered pair. So we're going to go and we're going to plot those on our graph. So -2, -8. -1, -5. So over -1, down -5. 0, -2. 1, 1. And the last one was 2, 4. So those, and then we draw our line. So whenever you draw your line, make sure you draw it connecting all your points. I can't even draw a straight line. And make sure you put arrows at the end of your line, or else it's not considered a line. So that is all we have to do on these functions. Now, we're going to keep plugging it in and solving, but we will show you how to plug it into the calculator and get your table from the calculator. However, you still have to show what you are plugging in order to receive all of your points. Next problem. G of x equals x squared plus 1. So we are replacing the x each time. So we still have -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. then we're going to take our function and replace it. So we're going to have negative 2 squared plus 1. Negative 2. Oops, I screwed that one up. Negative 1 squared plus 1. 0 squared plus 1. And you guys, make sure you keep the number that you're squaring in parentheses. It's going to be important because if you square a number, a negative number, and that negative is not in parentheses with a number, it's going to give you a different answer. So you want to make sure you are doing that correctly. And then 2 squared plus 1. So whenever I simplify these, negative 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 0 squared is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So if you see this one, these points go in a little bit different of a pattern. They go from 5 to 2 to 1 and then back up. So we're still going to graph each of these as an ordered pair. So you'll have 5 ordered pairs to graph each time. So we have negative 2, 5. Negative 1, 2. 0, 1. 1, 2. And 2, 5. She's like, Mrs. Gilbert, this isn't a straight line. No, it is not. That's because we have an exponent of 2. So this is what we call a quadratic function. So a quadratic function is going to have a U shape. So this would be a quadratic function. Because we're going to be talking about 3 different types of functions: linear, quadratic, and exponential. Okay, let's go on to the next problem. The next one, we have 1/2 to the x. So the x is what we're replacing each time. So we are going to have to keep that in mind. So our x's are negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So we're going to have 1/2 to the negative second, 1/2 to the negative first, 1/2 to the 0, 1/2 to the first, and then 1/2 to the second. And we're going to evaluate each of these. So you can also plug these into your calculator once you get it plugged in. 1/2 to the negative second is actually going to be 4 because you have a negative exponent. You flip it and then square it. So next one, you're going to have 2 to the first, which is going to be 2. Anything to the 0 power is 1. 1/2 to the first is itself, and 1/2 to the second is 1/4. So you're going to graph these. And if you guys want to put decimals instead of fractions, I am more than okay with that on your ordered pairs. So we have negative 2, 4. Negative 1, 2. 0, 1. And then 1, 1/2 is going to be in between. And then 1 and 1/4 is going to be a little bit lower. So with an exponential, the line is going to, gonna go down and kind of graze another line. So this is your exponential function. So it's going to be more of like an L shape is what your exponential function is going to look like. Okay, we have inputted and we have graphed 3 different lines. Our linear, which is a straight line, our quadratic, which is a U shape, and then our exponential, which is an L shape. We're going to go down and do some reviewing, and I'm going to show you how to plug it into your calculator. Okay. Is this a function? Look at your x values. Your negatives, 3's repeats. You're going to say no because negative 3 has 2 outputs. Next problem, evaluate the function f of x equals negative 2x plus 6, where x is 4. So we're going to take x, and we're going to plug it in. We're going to plug that 4 in for x. So we're going to have negative 2 times 4 plus 6. This is going to give you negative 8 plus 6, which is going to give you negative 2, which is your answer. So this is kind of what we're doing in our input and output tables. Okay. So let's go down to these. We're going to do our x's. And then I'm going to replace all of these little x's with my values. So 3 times 2 to the negative second, 3 times 2 to the negative first, 3 times 2 to the 0, 3 times 2 to the first, and 3 times 2 to the second. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it in Desmos, though, because I do not have a graphing calculator on my device. But in class, we will be using the graphing calculator, and what you have to do is you have to go to the y equals button, which is in the top left corner. Press it, type in your function, and then if you hit second graph, it'll give you your list of values. In Desmos, I'm going to type in my function. Y equals 3 times 2, and then to raise it, you do your shift 6, which is the caret. X, like what Mrs. Gilbert, it just graphs a line. Well, if you hit the little gear button up here, and then hit the table, it'll give you your table of points. So you have 0.75, 1.5, 3, 6, and 12. So 0.75, hope that's right, yeah. 1.5, 3, 6, and 12. And then we're going to graph the points. Again, I'm going to reiterate, you have to show this in order to get your points for all your work. So negative 2, 0.75 is going to be right about here. Negative 1, 1.5, 0, 3, 1, 6, and then 2, 12 is actually going to be off my graph, so we're just going to plot it up there. Okay, so this is going to graze that line and then go up. Make sure you put your arrows on the end of your line again. And you guys, you got to make sure you graph that line and you don't just plot the points, okay? Okay, next one. Negative x squared plus 1. So I'm going to do my x's. Plug it in. So because there's already a negative on this x, I'm going to keep that on the outside, and then I'm going to put whatever my x value is in the parentheses. Squared plus 1. Negative 0 squared plus 1. Negative 1. Okay, so then I'm going to show you how to plug this into Desmos. So if you hit y equals negative x, and then caret square, press your arrow to bring it back down, and then plus 1. This is what the graph would look like, and if you get your points, we're going to have negative 3, 0, 1, 0, negative 3. And then I'm going to plot my points. So negative 2, negative 3, negative 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and then 2, negative 3. So hopefully, even on your graphing calculator, you should be able to see, did I graph this correctly or not? Up and, oh goodness. Well, you guys, my writing ability is not the best, or my drawing abilities. There you go. That's your graph. So it's all we are doing for our input and output tables. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this, and you guys can get started on your homework.